The lighting in this video is terrible. I know. And just the camera isn't. I just feel the need to say this. Maybe it's not so great of me to say it, posting it online and everything. It's not so like upbeat, but it's really bothers me, though I want to publish this video like this, even though it really does bother me. The lighting and just the camera, it's really aggravating me, and I just wanted to express that. So I find it very ironic that I am doing a video showing myself for the topic I'm going to be talking about, the Solly app. I find it highly ironic. If you know what the Solly app is, then you'll understand why. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing sunglasses, it's so people cannot see my eyes, especially in this terrible, terrible lighting. And what do you look at that? Heaven's opening. Solly is a letter writing app that was released in 2017, where users would send and receive letters amongst each other. And the reason I decided to start using it was because in 2024, I was 18 years old, a senior in high school. I only had one class, and I was very much to myself. I did not have any friends that year from that school. And it was amazing for most of the year to be so alone. I've never been so alone in my life, especially like coming back home. I was alone most of the time. It was amazing. It was great. Thinking about that time, it's like, so I still like think back how great it was for me. And though, because I'm a human, I eventually was like, it would be nice to be able to contact somebody consistently. And so, and the one friend I did have in person, they lived in a different state. So it would be nice. I was thinking it'd be nice to contact somebody more consistently. And so I was thinking about getting an app for that. I was very hesitant at first for two major reasons. For one, can I truly know somebody behind a screen? And for two, I was thinking about if a friendship through a screen can be fulfilling. Or I was thinking it's not going to be as fulfilling, it's not going to be as satisfying as having a friend in person, because it's through a screen. Though eventually, even with these worries, I decided to try Solly in 2024. And here I am making this video. So I want to talk next about the app functionality and the technical side of the app. If you know this app, you've been on this app, then you can skip to the next section, because I think I'm going to make segments in this video where I talk about common themes of the app. If you have not been on the app, then you may want to watch this part, because I just talk about the app itself, how it works. So when you download the app, first you set up your profile and you set up your avatar. So on this app, what makes it very unique compared to most, if not all, other friendship apps, even if they're letter writing apps, is that you set up an avatar, so you have no ability to have pictures of yourself as your profile picture. It's simply just an avatar. So it's very unique, very different, because most, if not all, other friendship apps, you have to put a picture of yourself. It's highly recommended, or it's just normal to, but in this app, it's not normal to, and you cannot put a photo of yourself. So very, very different. And then you go to your biography. You have the option to write a biography. You do not have to write a biography. Then you have letter preferences, such as if your letter is short to medium, medium to long, long to extra long. If your reply times, if they are ASAP, within a week, within 2 weeks, within a month, over a month. I believe those are all the options. And now they have this new AI assistant which slowly released like a month or two ago. So very new. Where users can share how much AI assistance they use in their letters. I think the options are never very minimal. Sometimes often and very often, something around there. And you also have to select 3 topics of interest, at least 3 topics of interest from Sully's list. It goes at the bottom of your profile, but you have to select at least 3 interests that Sully has, like common, activities and interests people have. Then you have to select the languages you speak and how proficient you are in them using a 1 to 5 dot mechanism. So depending on how many dots you select, that is your proficiency in that language. Your indicated proficiency, at least. And you have to share your gender. You have to share your birthday, but you do not have to put the exact date you were born on your profile. And you also have the option to add your favorite Sully stamps on your profile. And what are Sully stamps? Sully stamps are stamps like, when you actually send a letter in person, which is ironic. I don't think many people my age, especially in general, don't send letters in this day and age, though. When you send a letter, you put a stamp on it. So in Sully, it's the same. You put a digital stamp. And so they have a whole, I don't know how many stamps they have exactly. They have a lot of stamps, though. A lot for like across a whole bunch of genres. They have stamps relating to locations, of course, the world stamps, and then they have like literature stamps, animal stamps. They have like a variety, book stamps, etc. So you can add your favorite stamps, and how you get stamps is either by exchanging letters between users, or getting coins by, I think, watching ads and purchasing them through your coins, or actually purchasing them with your actual money to be a paid to have them as a paid member, or just pay for the stamps. So there's that, and I think hopefully I'm not missing anything major. I think I covered everything with the profile itself. Hopefully I'm not missing anything. If I am, whoops. Moving on. So when you go to the Sully homepage, you see the letters you receive at the top. Then you have, if there's any incoming letters, you'll see that. And then you see like a fun fact about different parts of the world, which I think is changed or updated every day. Then you see Sully stories at the bottom. So users sharing their stories, their experiences on the app, like how I am now, except obviously it's in a written form. This is a video form. So then you have the profiles. So you can go through profiles and actually letter people. So when you go to the profiles page, there's 3 open letters, and they refresh every 24 hours. So you'll see new open letters each time. There's 3 for free members, and I believe 5 for paid members. So what is an open letter? An open letter is somebody who publishes a letter for anybody on Sully, in the Sully app, to see at that time. So it's like it's a way of publicly sharing your, I guess you could say, your thoughts, your ideas, your profile publicly for anybody on Sully to see. So it's the equivalent, like if you've never been on Sully on social media platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, then it's the equivalent of publishing a video or a post publicly instead of privately. That's the best analogy I can give. So there's open letters. You can respond to them. You have 24 hours, as I said, because then they have every 24 hours new open letters come in. Or you can go to the profiles page and you get to see everybody's profile. So you can filter out. There's various filters you can use, like filter out certain regions in a country, age, gender, topics of interest, languages spoken. And I think there's even more filters than that. They've been adding some since I've been on there, I think. So there's a lot of filters. Some of them you have to pay for, but some of them are free, such as the age filtering. So there's that. And then the other 2 aspects I want to talk about the app itself is, for one, the photo sharing and audio sharing feature. So which kind of goes under the profile page. What I find very unique and amazing about this app is that users cannot just share photos and audio messages randomly with people. You have to request it. So if I want to share a photo or an audio message with somebody through Slowly, I have to request it, and they have to accept my request. If they do not accept my request or do anything with it, then I cannot share a photo or audio message with them, and vice versa. So this part of the app is amazing. That way people cannot just randomly send me photos or audio messages. It's about building a rapport with somebody else first before that. So that, like I said, that part is great. I love the aspects of Slowly. So the other aspect I wanted to talk about is the delivery times, which is also a very unique to Slowly, because no other app, not that I know of, even the letter writing ones, I don't think they have delivery times. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, if somebody could enlighten me, that would be great. But yeah, I don't think any other app has delivery times as Slowly does, where when you send a letter to somebody, depending on who the recipient is, what part of the world they're in, it affects how long it's going to take for that letter to be able to be read by them, officially sent to them. So if you're sending a letter domestically, then the letter could take like 30 minutes. It could take a couple hours to send. If you're sending it internationally, it could also take a couple hours to a day to 2 days. So it just depends on the distance between each user. So the equivalent to this, if you haven't used Slowly before, or if you never used this app, is like, oh, my voice sounded so weird there. Okay, So the equivalent to this is if you send a message to somebody on the regular SMS messages or any other social media platform, and it's like if the message takes hours to send, usually it's just, it's not usually hours now, but if it takes a while to send, you think it's a connectivity issue, it's an issue with your cell phone, or it's an issue on the other person's cell phone or end. Though with Slowly, this is very intentional because it's supposed to emulate letter writing in person. So like if you actually send a letter through the postal service, it's going to take a couple days to be sent, a couple weeks, a couple months, etc., to be sent to the recipient, depending on their location, the location between you two. So it's supposed to emulate that sensation of waiting for a letter to be, so you can read it. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I find that also very unique. It's very fascinating to this app, and another like major pillar to this app. So I think I discussed the main characteristics of the app itself, the functionality and the technical side of it that I wanted to. Hopefully I didn't miss anything major. If I did, whoops, moving on. So some common themes I would like to talk about regarding the Slowly app is, for one, unpersonalized letters. Since I've been on this app, I've gotten quite a few unpersonalized letters and leave me feeling disappointed. And it's anticlimactic. So, usually the letters will go something like, "Hi, exclamation point. I'm so excited to meet you, exclamation point, smiley face. I hope we can become good friends, exclamation point, send." Some other letters, I know that I think there's like a character limit, like you have to type at least a certain amount before you can send a letter, though my point here is getting at like surface level first letters. So it's not the exact words I'm using, the exact amount, it's just about the overall theme of unpersonalized surface level letters. Or I will get a letter similar to, "Hi, exclamation point, my name is, and I am from, where are you from, question mark. I work as a receptionist and am also studying at university to become a nurse. How about you, question mark. I hope we can become great friends, exclamation point, smiley face, send." Letters such as this, right? And also, I think I forgot to mention, you have to put your location, obviously, in Slowly, the country you reside in. Some people get around it, but you're supposed to put the actual country you reside in because That way people know where you actually reside, so they can, because some people send letters simply based on where you reside. So people can see where you live solely on your profile. Not exactly, though. They can only see the country you live in. Or just an approximate location if you're looking at the Solia map. I just realized I was supposed to be in my previous segment, but whoops. Okay, so I will get letters like this, and when I read them, I'm just like, oh, okay then. That's disappointing. So I don't understand why people send unpersonalized letters, especially if somebody has a biography. If somebody has a biography, you have a lot more to go based off of. You read their biography, you can, make more of a conversation with them based off their biography, especially. I've been sent unpersonalized letters when I've had a biography and when I have not had a biography. So it happens both ways. If somebody does not have a biography, I understand better somebody not sending them a personalized letter. However, in my opinion, it's still possible to send a personalized letter by looking at their topics of interest, the languages they speak, the country they reside in, those factors. So I still believe it's always possible to send a personalized letter, so I'm not sure. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I think sometimes people may send unpersonalized letters because they're shy, or they don't want to come off like they're asking too many questions in the first letter, or, too intense, as I have been called on Sully. So, maybe that's the reason, or maybe it's just simply they don't want to put in the time and effort. So I don't think the same reason applies to everybody who sends unpersonalized letters. I just think it's very dependent on that person themselves, because I've also have been sent an unpersonalized letter where I'm like, okay, another one of these. And I actually did respond to it. Sometimes I don't respond to it, but this time I just happened to respond to it, and we actually turned out to be friends. I was very surprised that we turned out to be friends, because most of the time when somebody sends me an unpersonalized letter, I'm thinking, okay, it's not really going to get very far with us, or to the point where I consider them a friend, because I don't use the word friends loosely, though I will get to that later. So anyways, I was very surprised when we became friends, and after that very surface level unpersonalized letter they sent me. So I mean, it's possible, but there's also, of course, people who send unpersonalized letters and it doesn't get very far. So it, like I said, it's very dependent on that person. The next theme I want to go over is leaving people unread and delivered. And there was a separate note I made for silence after a few good exchanges, though that I'm going to mention with this theme because it goes under the same overall theme of being left unread and delivered. When people leave me when people stop responding to me or just leave me undelivered after a few good letters, nothing happened, no conflict, no friction. They just don't respond one day. I'm like, so I don't know. Like, I don't know why. I have told people, like, isn't it fascinating how, because it's online, your friend could die and you wouldn't even know, most likely, because there's no mutual connection there. Like, I feel like probably most people don't think about this, but this is a thought that crosses my mind. I don't, like, it's very, it's very fascinating how my friend could just die one day, and it's just like, I thought they never responded or read my message, and it's like, no. And, but that's an extreme case. Most of the time, that's not what it is. Most of the time, people just, the reasons my brain comes up with is maybe they're just feeling very down and they don't want to tell me because they don't feel like close to me, or they don't want to burden me. Maybe they, maybe or it could just be they're uninterested, disinterested. Which one is it? Oh, I should know, but I don't know. Is it uninterested or disinterested? Well, they feel apathetic, I guess I could say, towards our conversation, but they don't want to tell me directly because they feel it'll hurt my feelings more than just leave me on read or delivered. And at least for me personally, I'd much rather have somebody be direct with me, courteous, though still direct with me, and tell me what it is than just me being left unread and delivered and being like, what happened here? I'd much rather be in the known than the unknown, even if the known seems to hurt more, because to me, in the long term, it hurts less just to know than to not know. So that's for me personally. And unfortunately, this is not just a theme with Slowly. Unfortunately, this is a theme outside of Slowly. Even, if your pen pals go outside of Slowly, or just even they never heard of Slowly. Unfortunately, oh my god, my nose just hit the microphone. That was really awkward. I'm gonna scoot back. That was really, really awkward. Okay, so so unfortunately, it's a very ubiquitous theme amongst the world culture. I call it the world culture. What I mean is just everywhere in the world. It's not permeant or prevalent only in one area, one part of the world. Unfortunately, I feel it's everywhere in the world where people just, get used to being left unread and delivered. And I think some people expect it to an extent. I expect it sometimes to just get left unread and delivered, not because of the content of my letter or my message, simply because unfortunately, it's happened to me quite a few times, as it has with other people, that it's just like, it's very unfortunate that it's just part of the life most people live now, or everybody lives. So, or I would say most people, not everyone, but most people live. It's very unfortunate, and it's especially easy, in my opinion, to leave somebody on left on read and delivered online, because you know that, oh, I'm never going to see this person, or most likely I'm never going to see this person. So it's like that, to me, like some of that humanly empathy is absent, because you don't see how it directly affects the person, because as humans we have evolved to be with each other in person. That's all we know as humans, right? To hear somebody's voice, hear the intonations of their voice, hear the pauses, the hesitations, then to be with somebody in person and read their body language, see their facial expressions, to read those subtle movements they make, those facial expressions they make, right? It's when that is absent from a conversation amongst two people, I feel as though even if somebody is a kind person, kind individual, even if somebody is an empathetic individual, I still feel kind of inevitably that some of that empathy is going to be diminished. I had to pause for a little bit. I am back, so this may sound a little repetitive, but the next theme I want to go over is the skeptical, rude, mean, and sensuous behavior on Slowly, or through people I've encountered on Slowly. So sometimes I have received letters that were rude, or usually rude. I wouldn't mean, actually, I'm not sure. I'm sure people would say they've probably experienced some meanness online. May not Slowly, I know, but it's not exempt of it. Like, I'm trying to think if I would say it was definitely rude, some of the letters I've received, but I don't know if I would categorize it as mean as well. I guess I could. I think I would. Maybe. Maybe. Well, anyways, I've received letters such as that where, more specifically, people have called me names and, harsh names, and just very rude and disrespectful names that I prefer not to say, at least right now, simply not because of the name itself. It's more just because I feel if I say, okay, this person called me this exact name, I feel I should probably give more context to it, and it's only one-sided because you're just seeing this video, right? And if you want to like go to the source, know more about, if you want to know the other side of it, you'd have to ask the other person, which isn't going to happen. So that's why I'm just like hesitant, at least right now, of saying the exact names, because I don't want to be, naturally it's going to be one-sided. So, and yeah, it's a little bit of a gray area for me. Right now, I'm not going to say, maybe one day I will say it, say the names people have called me. Though right now, I don't think I'm going to. And then I've just had some sensuous behavior happen on Sully where, I have like, where I felt like, you know, when I remember the first time I had some sensuous / skeptical, it was more skeptical behavior than sensuous, but still a little bit of some sensuous behavior there, just not as much as the skeptical, I would say, is when I first started using the app. I was in contact with somebody, and we went outside the app because I think it was, I prefer, as you know, as I'm going to explain later, and as I've said before, that I prefer to just have friends in person. It's more fulfilling for me, and I'm going to get to why later. So if I'm contacting somebody online, the closest I can get to having them be in person is through a call, whether it's audio call or a video call. Anyways, so I went off this app with this person to be able to call them because I thought, okay, we could have conversations here. They were being fine on Sully. Though when it happened, after the call, they sent a picture. And it wasn't actually, probably, I don't know what y'all are. I said that so weird. It was like the way my words came out were not how I wanted it to. Okay, so so the picture they sent me, it was not the most sensuous picture. It wasn't something like very like sensuous. It was more, they sent me, you know, a picture that is like, okay, like, I didn't like seeing it. I don't find it attractive at all, though. It's not, once again, it's not a, this is another gray area where I'm like, okay, how much do I like say directly what it is? But yeah, it was not like the most sensuous picture. It was just, so it's not like the worst, right? It was just more like something that I don't find attractive. So, you know, in that, the conversations past there wasn't really any conversations past there. I told them how I felt about it, and then, you know, our conversations didn't go past there after I told them, you know, how I felt about it. They were like, oh, you know, I apologize. So there was that. And and I know I'm not the only one who this has happened to. It happens not only on Sully, obviously outside of Sully, though. Sully, even though the app is, I think even though Sully is avatar based, and you have to, on the app itself, like I said before, you have to approve to be photo sharing and audio sharing. It's not exempt from people, obviously, who have other intentions other than being friends, and they're not direct about it, or they want other people's like eyes on them in another way, if that makes sense. So yeah, Sully's not exempt from that, though that's not to say, once again, that every guy who sends you a letter on Sully isn't looking for a romantic relationship or isn't trying to be sexual, because that's a hasty generalization. So every guy is not like that. There are guys who are just genuinely looking for platonic friendships, and then that's not to say that every girl who contacts a guy on Sully is also looking for a romantic relationship or has ill intent, right? You know, there's girls out there who just also want a platonic friendship. And so, you know, it goes both ways. There are people out there who will have other intentions, that it is what it is, though it's not everybody, right? And that's anywhere, on any app and in person.